My name is Tylor Field, and I'm the Vice President of Wine and Spirits for Morton's of Chicago. Welcome to our original Morton's in State Street. Today what we're going to attempt to do is try to give you a little bit more knowledge about 8 classic varieties of wine. How we like to think of wines in the Sommelier Society is by body style. Wines go from light body all the way to very, very full body. Almost think of it like you are buying milk. You have 2% milk, you have skim milk, you have whole milk, and you have heavy cream. Wine is also made in those different varieties as well, as with food. So when you're pairing wine with food, you definitely want to know the body style and just the flavor profile of the wine so that it's either a good contrast or a good match. Now, one of my favorite wines we're going to start off with today is a classic white wine varietal called Riesling. Originally from Germany, however, made in a lot of different parts of the world now, as long as it's a very cold climate. One thing that makes Riesling so popular, it's got a some sweetness to it, but since it's from a cold climate, it also has acids. So it'll go very, very well with spicy foods. When you look at this one here, this is a McWilliams from Australia, you'll see that the color is very, very light. It's a light, classic light-bodied wine. However, when you spin it and smell it, there's a sweetness, apricots, other dried types of fruit. Peaches come to the forefront. And one of the things you'll find when pairing things with Riesling is it goes amazing with spicy foods like Chinese food or dim sum or sushi and things like that. So if you're serving those types of appetizers that have some spice at home during the holidays, Riesling's the perfect choice. Another great food wine, especially for picnics and other types of situations where you're serving light food and you want that kind of chilled, delicious red berry experience to complement the different foods you're having, is the oft-forgotten rosé. And all houses of wine and wineries make rosés for the most part. They're more popular in the old world over in France and Spain. However, in America we like our White Zinfandel, which is similar in structure. However, most rosés are a dry style, not a sweet style wine, so they complement food better. This one's from Carneros, from the Coppola winery, and he named it after his daughter Sophia. And this is a very delicious wine, and again, you can pair with very, very simple foods. And I enjoy it very much. Now, Sauvignon Blanc. Probably the #2 white wine consumed around the world. This originally comes from the Bordeaux region of France, but the most popular place it's made now is in New Zealand. And we have one here from Kim Crawford winery in Marlborough. And the predominant flavor in Sauvignon Blanc, made in the New World style, is citrus. It's a big piece of grapefruit and orange and lemons and limes in a glass. And what that does with that high acidity is it's able to stand up really, really well to seafood, especially shrimp, oysters, crab meat. Very delicious pairing. And again, the predominant thing you're going to get in this is the citrus. And one of the things you'll notice before we even get to Chardonnay about the Riesling, as well as the Sauvignon Blanc, if you look at the color of the two wines, they're very clear. And there's a specific reason for that, and most notably is that they use no oak aging. So you're not going to have that buttery style at all. These are going to be very crisp with a very short finish, but very, very refreshing. So these are definitely aperitif wines. When you start using oak, as we do in Chardonnay, you start getting into a much more buttery, vanilla, complex flavor that goes better with heavy foods. And what we have here for the Chardonnay is a great winery from the Napa Valley called Cakebread. Very popular Chardonnay, absolutely delicious. Again, aged in oak, as well as Chardonnay generally, especially in America, will go through what's called a malolactic fermentation, which changes the malic acid into lactic acid, which we all know is from milk. So therefore the body style is going to be a lot more textural, just like you were drinking a glass of milk versus a glass of water. So people really enjoy Chardonnay in the United States, and this would be a great pairing with chicken with a cream sauce, or turkey on Thanksgiving for some Chardonnays. Now, moving along into the red category, probably the most subtle soft red is a Gamay, which we all know as Beaujolais, not shown here, but again, straight up from that, also from the Burgundy region of France, which Beaujolais is in, they grow something called Pinot Noir. And we're doing a very good job of that in the United States as well. I brought a Pinot Noir here from Etude Winery from Carneros in Northern California. And what you'll see is in the color of the Pinot Noir versus the other varietals that we have here is that it's much lighter in color. The Pinot Noir is a very thin-skinned grape, and the flavors you're going to get are more raspberries, strawberries, floral components, and then there's also going to be an underlying earthiness to it. Pinot Noir is very fickle, but when you get it perfectly, there's nothing better. So enjoy this with lighter meats. I like to say for Thanksgiving, for instance, or if you're serving turkey or lighter meats, that you definitely want to pick a Pinot Noir and a Chardonnay would be your best complement to both of those. Now, moving on. Cool climate right here to a hot climate. And one of the things that's important to notice is the darker the wine, it means that the grapes and the actual skins of the grapes have spent more time in the sun. And they're usually from hotter climates. So this is no different. This is a Sangiovese from Tuscany. Really, what I always tell people, especially with Italian wines, is get a wine from the region of the dish that you're cooking. One of the things you'll find when you travel in Europe and you go to a certain part or a certain town and you look at the wine list, there's not wines from all over the world. There's wines just from that specific town. And the reason why is because it pairs perfectly with the cuisine of that town. One of the things that they do very, very well in Tuscany, where Chianti is they do a lot of stewed rabbit. They also work a lot with tomatoes. Tomatoes are high in acid and they're very hard to pair with. You know what? Chianti does wonderfully well with that. So if you're doing some type of tomato soup or a stew that is heavy in tomatoes, Chianti is going to be your perfect choice. Then we move to another hot area of the world, Australia. They're doing a great job with Shiraz right now. Shiraz is a very spicy, leathery, peppery type of wine, and this you'll also get hints of eucalyptus. This wine stands up to anything. This, by the way, goes well, again, with very spicy dishes. We serve a Cajun ribeye at Morton. Shiraz is the perfect choice. This would also go well with other types of stir fry that use red meat. Moving from that, we come to the oft-maligned Merlot. Unfortunately, since the movie Sideways, Merlot sales have plummeted. And why I say unfortunately is some of the greatest wines in the world use Merlots as the primary grape. I have one here, Sauvignon Blanc, one of the best wines in the world, also very, very expensive, is almost 100% Merlot from Bordeaux. Merlot comes from Bordeaux, and the reason America has fallen in love with it so much is it offers a very smooth kind of chocolate jam experience. It's not that heavy Cabernet. I think people believe it might not give you more of a hangover, but it's more juicy and less dry than a Cabernet. So one of the things you want to look at, especially with these last two Bordeaux varietals, especially in a steakhouse, because this is where you want to be when you're ordering a great steak at Morton's, is you want to look at the fat content in the steak. So, for instance, a ribeye steak is going to have a lot more marbling in it than a filet. So what I would do, since Merlot is softer, I'd pair a Merlot with a filet mignon. But moving on to Cabernet, I would definitely use that for my New York strip or my ribeye steak because there's more inherent marbling in it. So when you want to try to create balance, again, the higher tannic the wine, you want to pair with the higher fattiness of the food, the lower tannic and smoother the wine, kind of the lower. So when you look at this, I think this array of wines gives you a very basic knowledge of how you'd like to pair what wine with what food. Whether you're dining with us this holiday season or entertaining at home, hopefully you can find one of these wine styles to fit whatever you're entertaining with. I'd just like to wish you one thing, salut. Very good.